Well, joining us today is Jacqueline Wee from Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Lloydminster. Now, Jacqueline, I know the school year is up and running now, and I know that Big Brothers Big Sisters has mentors in schools for kids. So how much of a need is there for Big Brothers Big Sisters now that the school year is back in session?
Absolutely. So we do typically through the school year, we run in-school mentoring, which is a mentor is matched with a child in one of the schools, and they go and they meet for an hour a week. Unfortunately, with COVID and all the restrictions in place, we can't meet in person, but we can still meet virtually. So the kids can still have the connections with their mentors, which is really important to support their mental health and give them another consistent adult in their lives.
You touched on it a little bit with the mental health aspect. Between now and back in March when everything got moved to virtual/online interactions, how effective have those interactions been on the kids' mental health?
So all of our matches, our traditional matches and our in-school matches closed when school shut down, but our traditional matches continued virtually. And for a lot of our families, the comments that I received in the feedback was that they were so glad that there was still a person that could check in with them. So when they were feeling lonely, they had someone that they could connect with, spend time with, play games online. And some of the volunteers would go by and they'd have a driveway visit, so they'd drop something off for them. So still being able to make those connections and knowing that there was still things happening outside of their houses where they were isolated and by themselves, that they were included in.
Last month was Big Brothers Big Sisters month here in Canada. Does that month in particular always see an increased amount of volunteers needed during that time?
Right. So we consistently have kids on the waiting list. So nationwide, I think last month they said there's 15,000 kids that need a mentor. In our agency, it's usually around 30, which is for both programs. And the reason why we always have a waiting list is as you match kids, there's new families that join the agency and need the services. So as we match a couple, then we get a couple more, or then their sibling joins the program, and so then you want to get them matched. So we right now have 34 children that are needing a mentor in our community, either through our traditional match program or in-school mentoring program.
I know there have been a lot of matches online and a lot of meetings online between the Big Brothers and Big Sisters and the kids. Is there still opportunities to do in-person meetings with matches in the Lloydminster building?
Right. So we can do in person for our traditional matches. We have given our matches the option with some paperwork and some screening done ahead of time that they can meet in person, our matches for the traditional match program, or they can still meet virtually. They have the option depending on where they're at, with their bubble and their social circle and those sorts of things. Program-wise in our agency, there's a lot of restrictions and things that are in place, and we always have to consider the transmission risk. So we look at it on a month-to-month basis. But in the meantime, we have our mentors and we have our programs that way where the kids are getting the one-on-one contact, which is really important. And our in-school mentoring programs are going to be starting in the next month virtually.
And lastly, how can people volunteer if they want to volunteer to be a big brother or big sister?
So it's really easy. They can just give us a call, 306-825-5757, and we'll get them started. We can do their paperwork virtually as well. So if they're not wanting to come into the office for in-person meetings, we can do everything over Zoom or whatever platform they choose to do. So the interview, the application, all that stuff. And then they can meet with their mentee either virtually or in person. So we're pretty flexible these days. We've had to kind of adapt how we do things, but it's really easy to get involved, and it's a lot of fun for the mentors and for the kids.
Well, Jacqueline, I really appreciate your time as always, and thank you very much for joining us today.